Jackson back with you at Song Mentor. In 1956, Chuck Berry recorded Roll Over Beethoven. Apparently his protest against his sister Lucy using the family piano to play classical music rather than the R&B that he wanted to play. And at a time when the term rock and roll had not quite been coined yet, he still used some of those phrases, reelin' and rockin' and whatnot, in the song. But he did suggest that he wanted to replace classical music with rhythm and blues. In any event, it was a wonderful idea for a song and covered by many artists over the years. Number 97 all time on the Rolling Stones Top 500 Songs in the History of Rock and Roll. Here's Chuck Berry, George Harrison's Roll Over Beethoven. All right, well, let's get started. We're going to learn Roll Over Beethoven in the key of D, where it was recorded, and principally we're going to focus on the George Harrison version in terms of the intro to the song and also some of what he did with the guitar solo and the ending. A little twist on tradition here. Most rock and roll 12-bar blues rock and roll type riffs, we call them 1-4-5 songs because they go to the one, start with the 1 chord, go to the 4, back to the 1, to the 5, to the 4, to the 1, that sort of thing. This a little bit of a twist in this, it's a little bit different. So here we are up on the barring the 10th fret. And so you can see what we're doing there is just a classic. We've got the D chord, the bar D chord on the 10th fret, and we're just hammering here. Only requires a little bit of stretching here because he's going to go. So the pinky goes from 14 to 15 back to 14. And the twist on tradition here is that instead of the progression going like this, which would be the normal 12-bar blues progression. It goes from the 4 chord to the 5 chord instead of from 5 down to 4 at the end. So it goes like this. Okay, it's a little bit different. Let's move on to that intro. Okay, before we tackle that intro, just one more little chord thing, and that is this little section of the song. Well, if you're feeling like it, get your lover and reel and rock it. The chord that I'd like you to play there is actually a D7 chord. The way it's played is all I'm going to do is just play the normal D bar chord, which is with that E formation. And I'm just going to lift off my pinky finger, so I'm playing 12th fret of the 5th string with my 3rd finger and 11th fret of the 3rd string with my 2nd finger. Then I'm going to bar the 10th fret. And what I'm going to do there is pick down on strings 5, 4, and 3. Okay, so for those first 2 strums, well, if you're feeling like it, get your lover in a reel and a rocket, roll it over and a move on up, just drop it further and a reel and a rocket. See how with those 2 downstrokes are kicking in the D chord, the D7 chord, in that little section of the song. Okay, there's the intro, so let's take it apart step by step. We're going to start with our 2nd finger. We're going to use fingers 2, 1, and 3 here, and we're going to slide up. We're going to slide up from the 9th fret to the 11th fret on the 3rd string with the 3rd finger. And then we're going to play the 10th and 12th frets of the second string with our first and second fingers. Those are the first three notes. And then we're going to go, that's 3 slides up from the 9th fret to the 10th fret, and I've got my first finger barring the first and second strings. Okay, so put those two together. Again. Okay, the next little bit is, and that's just, they're pull-offs. In other words, I'm going to take my third finger onto the 13th fret of the first string. I've still got this bar on the 10th fret, first and second strings, with my index finger. All I'm doing there is kind of pulling and picking at the same time. So put that together. Okay, that's the first part of the intro riff. Now I'm going to go down here to the 7th fret, and I'm going to pick down on the 4th and 3rd strings for the first 2 times I do this. I'm sliding up from fret 6 to fret 7. And the last 2 times I do it there, I add the second string. So 4 and 3, 4, 3 and 2. Okay, and then I'm back up to this position. Okay, so I'm just going through it. I'm going 10th fret, and then on 2nd and 3rd strings, 12th fret, and then on 2nd and 3rd strings, 10th fret, and then I'm going to go to the 4th string, 12th fret to finish that up. Okay, so putting this all together. Okay, the next part is very repetitious. It's just over and over again. I'm bending that a little bit. That I'm on the 2nd and 3rd strings, 10th fret, and then picking a note on the 12th fret of the 4th string. Over and over again. So again, from the start. So the last bit of the intro is working on the 1st and 2nd strings. That's where we start. We're going to start on the 10th fret. We're going to bar with our index finger, the 10th fret, 1st and 2nd strings. Then we're going to use our 3rd finger to play 12 and 13 barred. Like that. Okay. And we're going to come back down. It's going to kind of take a little bit of a different tempo to this, but it's going to be... Okay, and you can see where I'm going there. It's just a pattern coming down. I end up on the 12th and 10th fret barring of the 2nd and 3rd strings, but I start out on the 1st and 2nd strings. And I end up with that D chop at the very end of this intro. So let's go back and do the whole thing from the very start. Nice and slow. let's do a partial playthrough that includes the intro, a few verses, and then that other little section of the song.
I'm gonna write a little letter, gonna mail it to my local DJ. Yeah, it's a rockin' little record, I want my jockey to play. Roll over Beethoven, gotta hit it again today. You know my temperature's rising and the jukebox is blowing a fuse. My heart's beating rhythm and my soul keeps singing the blues. Roll over Beethoven and tell Tchaikovsky the news. I got the rockin' pneumonia, I need a shot of rhythm and blues. I got the rolling arthritis sitting down at the rhythm review. Roll over Beethoven, we're rockin' in 2x2. Well, if you're feeling like it, get your lover in a reel and a rocket. Roll it over and a move on up, just a drop further in a reel and a rock with it. Roll over Beethoven, I dig these rhythm and blues.
Okay, a little bit of fine tuning, and one of the things you notice, there's that little bit of a sloppy ending I played, and that's the problem with these high bar chords. You got to be really careful when you're playing them to be accurate, and also not to stretch when you come back to it. If you stretch something a little too far, you know, you stretch that a little bit, and it sounds pretty sour. So that's probably what I did at the end there. So when you're playing all that stuff, it does take practice to play it with so that it sounds not sour. Okay, just a little bit on the guitar solo. It begins with this little box, which is 13, 10, 13, 10, and then gets into some of this bending with barring the 10th fret, their index finger, and our third finger bending the 12th fret of the third string. That's Johnny B. Good stuff. And then into this. More of that stuff, and you could end it any way you like, but he basically goes back to the something like that again. So play around with the guitar solo, have a little fun with it, but that's the gist of it. It's all around that same spot we've been playing all along. One more little fine-tuning bit, just the ending of the song is based around that D7 chord, except we're going to strum it 3 times as we sing through and play the ending, like a roll over Beethoven, 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 dig to these rhythm and blues. Again, all of this is here 10, 13, and then it finishes with just that full bar D chord. All right, there you go. George Harrison's version of Chuck Berry's classic, Roll Over Beethoven. We'll see you next time on Songman.